Yo, 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 what's going on guys? Rhys here from Stoic Pool, and in this episode of Catalyst Talk, I sit down with TCT and Adam from ADAO to talk about their proposals that they have in for Catalyst Fund 8. We have a little demo of some of the multisig processes that they've got going on as well. It's a really exciting chat to have with some really well-known guys in the community, and doing some really great work for ADAO as well. So let's get into it.
Guys, I'm joined here with TCT and Adam from ADAO. We'll start with TCT, but do you want to just quickly introduce yourselves and kind of what you do as part of ADAO?
Yeah, my name's Tom, or TCT, and what I do in ADAO, quite a bit. I really am busy organizing. So ADAO's broke up into numerous little sub-DAOs or working groups. So setting meetings, organizing tasks and bounties, trying to help onboard new members, and reaching out to partner projects. So a lot of organization, a lot of onboarding, really everything you would do in a DAO or a community.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for that. And Adam, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, hey, my name's Adam. I'm also in ADAO, obviously. I work with TCT on a lot of the partnership things, working with other DAOs. I'm also working with some of our legal engineers in the legal issues working group, just sort of make sure that we can keep up on what do we need to do to stay decentralized, and what can we do to make sure that we stay within, the bounds of a nonprofit association, which is how we've tried to set up our organization. We're currently in the works of talking with some legal counsel over in Liechtenstein to set up basically a legal foundation over there that can be our, we call it off-chain representation, because ADAO is a completely on-chain entity, an organization that doesn't have any ties to the physical world right now. But we do recognize that we need to have someone in the physical world that will, sort of be there to represent us. So that's what we're doing.
Awesome. I just love how busy you guys all are. It's just madness trying to keep up with what's going on over there, like I said to Tom earlier. So we have 3 proposals under the ADAO umbrella. So we're going to try and talk about them all. We will. We'll just get into them all. Why not, right? We'll start with the education and marketing content, because I think this is probably the most self-explanatory and probably the easiest to kind of get through, and we can move on to the more interesting stuff. So if either of you want to take the lead on introducing that, then that'd be great.
Absolutely. So we have a humongous education group to start off with. It's basically its own DAO within our DAO. And so that's led by Bob and Dilworth, who are 2 of our really active members. And they have just brought together a lot of members of the community who are interested in showing, people in Cardano, what is decentralization? What does it mean to organize on a basis where there is no top-down hierarchy, where we can all have a voice and all be able to put forward our opinions and have this grassroots mobilization. So they're constantly coming up with ideas for, let's every Saturday have a Twitter space where people can come together and talk about a topic and explore these ideas and get more people involved. Let's have more content we put out to be able to have people to read things, or have videos where we talk about academic concepts. Bob is actually a professor over in Scandinavia, and he brings forward a lot of the academic lens, which I also appreciate since I'm also an academic. And then that sort of works hand in hand with marketing, which, since Tom and I are doing partnerships and administration, we work with them a lot on the marketing stuff of saying, how does that apply to our DAO? And how can we make sure that we have the right philosophy that shows people what we're doing, that we're staying true to our decentralized values?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. So in here, we've got lots of education stuff proposed, lots of work to do, and you're only requesting just under 10,000, which is very reasonable considering the amount of work that you guys are putting in already and what you're trying to achieve with this. So I've got to kind of applaud you for that, for staying lean. It goes a long way in Catalyst, I think. But anyway, we're going to move on to some of the other stuff. Definitely go and check out that proposal, guys. By the way, DAO education is one of those things that's quite severely lacking at the minute. There's a lot of ideas and not a lot of solid information, I think. So I think that'd be a good thing.
And I'd also like to give a shout out real quick to Kay and Vanya, who did a great job of helping to write that up, because they've been also a major driver of the Twitter Spaces and coming up with those ideas too. Yeah,
I see Kay a lot in the chat. Busy indeed. Okay, thank you for that. So we're going to move on. So we have two other proposals. One is Summon, ADAO Summon, which is like a DAO incubator, and then the other one we have the ADAO Multisig wallet. So let's talk about the Multisig first, because I think that's quite a complex topic, and it'd be good to kind of cover that.
Yeah, definitely. I can touch on this a little bit. So Multisig, just like a quick overview, is really just a way of securing funds, right? Securing an address with a native script, which is native to Cardano, right? People who run stake pools, developers are very familiar with this. It's not too difficult, but it takes a lot of work, because you have to use the CLI, you have to build these transactions yourself, collect all the signatures, and then actually build and submit that transaction. So to make it easy, we built an application for it, right? Similar to a wallet. It'll run in the browser. And I could try to share a couple images if you want, because it makes it easy. This application will actually build those transactions for you. All you need to do is pick who your signers are, load them into the application. It'll generate you a new multisig address, which is a native script.
If you do have some images available, you are free to share them, because if
I can try to do that. And it'll let's see if I can figure that out, because it'll generate that address for you, and then you can easily just share the UI, the link to the web page, and allow everybody to sign that transaction. And you'll be able to see in real time who signed it, who you're waiting on, and you can also set the parameters. So you can create a personal multisig, right? If you just want to be a little more secure, or you can create a multisig with a group of people. So for instance, ADAO is broken down into all these sub-DAOs or working groups. And in order to allow them to be autonomous, we'll be able to set each working group up with their own multisigs. That way they have full autonomy. And like I said, really, it's just a basic application that has so many use cases, not only for DAOs. So making that easy and accessible was a huge deal. So we've been working on that for a while. It's pretty much ready to go out. We're waiting on a couple updates from some wallet teams to just make sure all the wallets are able to, sign and send funds to script addresses. And we did put a proposal in. We're asking 10,000, and it is already open source, but obviously we're going to do a slow rollout, I believe. And anybody will be able to just go to the website and create their own multisig and use it however they want.
That's really cool. I think having the UI like just somewhere simple that you can go to, there's no technical necessary. It's just bam, straight in, nice, easy form to fill out. I think that makes it a much more feasible solution, because everything else is obviously CLI and or crypto heavy, which can leave a lot of people, is a barrier to entry for a lot of people, essentially. And so the UI just makes it much more like NaN friendly, which I think is important.
And I do want to add one thing that TCT is making it clear of how easy it's going to be for people to use it, but we also want to make sure it's flexible enough that it remains decentralized and can't come under some sort of, like institutional capture, so to speak. So because it's open source, we're not going to be the ones who are just running one website where you have to come to use it. Anybody can spin it up and be running it on their own infrastructure. And we'll also have it as the ability where you can just run it on your own computer and you can coordinate with other people to each of you witness it through your own equipment and just pass it around yourself. So there's always going to be a fail-safe that if you need to be building a transaction, there's going to be a way that you can do it, even if you're in some sort of a hostile environment where you can't have web infrastructure deployed.
That's pretty cool. I think the open source and being able to just put it on your own website or something's really a kind of a no-brainer, really, to make sure that it isn't in any way centralized, right? And that's kind of the only real limitation that it would have otherwise, being the code being open sourced anyway, right? So it's that UI that would create a form of centralization. I quite like the idea of you being able to do it locally as well. That's quite important as well, because the internet is a huge barrier. Sometimes, some circumstances, it doesn't matter where you are. Sometimes you just don't have the internet, right? And if you need to act quickly or implement something, then it's good to have that option available to you as well. Mm-hmm. So you kind of teased us with a little image there, TCT. Do you want to pull that up? Is there something to talk about there, or do we want to move on?
Yeah, well, and we can move on. I can talk about it real quick. So right now we're doing the refinement. So this might not be the end image.
Yeah, pull it up and show
image. But let's see. So this is what should look similar to this. And we have a few screens. We actually have a few other designs that were modeled off of a couple screens you actually made. So we've been really trying to just get feedback, do some testing to see what people like, see what makes the most sense. But it'll most likely look something like this after you've created your treasury or multisig address. So you'll be able to see who's signed. You'll be able to label it how you want. So if you have multiple multisig wallets, you'll be able to keep track of which one is which. And you should be able to, if you want to, customize the names, use people's handles, whatever you want to do to make, like I said, make sure you can keep them organized and share them with the other members. So this would be after you created a multisig. And try to find an image for before, where you'll actually load in the addresses. So this hasn't been made to look pretty yet, but you can see right here how you can, this is actually after it's been created. It's saying that there's still one signature required. I'm trying to find the home screen.
And while Tom's looking that up, I'll just note that you guys might have seen that it says right there, add asset, because with Cardano, with all assets being, native assets on the blockchain, you can add NFTs, you can add fungible tokens. As a DAO, we primarily will be sending people transactions with our own ADAO tokens, our own ADAO governance. So that's, how we operate. But you can, if you're running this, you can send people ADA or whatever else you want to send them.
If that's the case, is there a kind of a way that you work around the min fee, or like
Not
the min required?
No, that is an anti-spam mechanism on the Cardano blockchain. You need to have it carrying with the minimum amount of ADA appropriate for that amount of data within the UTXO. In the future, when we have Hydra heads and we want to have a side chain, sure. At that point, we could be running like a side chain for ADAO, and we could have like micropayments. But right now, it's just going to be, we need to stick with the system for the security of layer one.
Yeah. So in that case, is where you have your kind of multi-sig, is there, if you're bringing stuff in, you would just have some kind of ADA included with the transaction where you can loop it to yourself or something, or does it need to go straight through into that wallet and be held there?
That is now, I believe that the people who are signing it provide the carrying ADA, but that would be a question for our developers and or Tom.
Sorry, that was just out of interest because I was wondering if there was a way that you figured out to work around it. Well, not around it, but to not end up with ADA stuck on one side of a transaction. That was all.
Sure. I think that the assumption is that if you're willing to use the tool, you're willing to supply some of the carrying ADA.
Yeah, I mean, it's never really a lot that it asks for, is it anyway? Right.
It's like 1.5. So, I mean, depending on how much data you have within the transaction, it could be a little more.
1.7.
Yeah. Ooh, Stoic Pool. All right.
Sending me treats.
We're onboarding people already.
So you'll paste your address in here or one of the signers' address, right? Add address. Then you'll go ahead and grab another one here. Add address. So once you have at least 2, it'll give you the option to set the parameters. So you can have all out of 2 required, any out of 2 required, or any out of 3, any out of 5. Your only limit is really script size, right? So normally you'll put something like 5 addresses and then say at least 3 are required, right? For this, we'll do at least 1 out of 2 are required. And then that's your wallet.
So that's really cool because you can obviously set like a majority signature kind of parameter, which is kind of expected, right? But then you have options to just have any or all as well, and like force participation in order to make that transaction. It's really cool to have those options. I mean, I guess it's kind of necessary if you're trying to make a tool that anyone could use, but it's nice to have preempted that kind of issue, you know? I can imagine people stuck with 4 addresses or something and you can't get a majority vote out of it.
Right. So that's why this is important, right? There's a lot of, like I said, not only for personal security, but there's a lot of organizations or DAOs that need to be able to move quick, right? They need to be able to have funds securely that are secured by multiple members. And yeah, like you said, if a few members aren't available, or if a few members aren't available, the other members are able to make those transactions, right? As long as the majority come together, they'll be able to submit transactions and do what they need to do.
Yeah. One of the examples we have of how we plan to use this as a DAO is if we have a particular tool that needs to be built, we might say, okay, we have this tool, we have clearly defined it. This is an additional, in addition to our website that we need to be built. And so we are going to set aside 5,000 ADAO governance tokens to be paid to the developer or developers that come up with this. So we're going to put them in a separate little multisig, and we're going to set 7 judges to be the people who decide whether or not this tool has been adequately built and the person who should be awarded with the bounty. And then 5 out of 7 will be able to release it to the parties that have completed the bounty. And then we just sort of set it aside and say, have at it. Whoever can come up with the best tool, go to the judges, submit your tool. Maybe 2 of you have half the solution, and then you start working together. Let's get collaborating.
Yeah, I think having it as like a separate little bounty bucket is quite a good way of doing it as well, because you don't really want direct access to a treasury if you have to deal with multiple different groups and different individuals, because it just opens up a potential attack vector, really, for any sneaky squirrels getting in there. Awesome. Perfect, guys. I love it. I love the little UI. I think that's wicked. I know it isn't totally beautified right now, but that's kind of what the whole point of the proposal, right, is to be getting things like that finished. So in this, you said you're asking for $10,000, which is more than reasonable again, I think. And I think we've basically covered everything on it. When is the idea to roll this out? Is there any specific dates or anything like that, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as possible. We've been talking to, like I said, a lot of the wallet teams, small little updates they need to make, but they said they'll be out with their next update. So I'm hoping by the end of the month, by the end of April.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And yeah, with that, we plan to create user guides, all the documentation that comes along with it, maintaining it. So yeah, hopefully we can get funded on this. There's been a lot of work done around it. Like I said, I think it's just such an important and versatile tool, right? It's not only going to be used by DAOs, but I'm sure individuals as well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, obviously anyone could potentially use it, but I think it is very, very important in the year of the DAO for everyone to kind of have that tool available, because it is a huge stumbling block when you're trying to implement something. If you have to build something yourself every time, and just having you guys open source it right out the gate, you can essentially white label it for your own purposes as well. Yeah, it's perfect. Okay, so let's move on. So the next one, your next proposal is the ADAO Summon, which is a DAO incubator. So do you want to introduce that and tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, definitely. So right now, I mean, basically the problem is that there's no way to easily create DAOs on Cardano. A lot of the tooling is either not built yet or in really early stages. So as ADAO, we've been getting a lot of questions, right? We've been getting individuals, groups, other teams coming to us, for everything from, just basic questions and trying to understand how a lot of these tools are going to work and actually connect to human actions, to legal questions, help with development. And so we've decided to build a special team, another working group or sub-DAO that is devoted to just that, actually helping these teams with everything from legal engineering to hands-on development, research, you name it, funding. So like you said, right now there's just so many different communities and groups already working in this way, but having a lot of trouble implementing the tools they need. So yeah, luckily we have so much talent in ADAO that are already trying to do this and help out where they can. We thought it was time that we actually put together and devote a specialized team just for that. So that is what ADAO Summon is. So yeah, we're pretty excited. It's made up of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 members of ADAO. Experts from PhD researchers, attorneys, Plutus pioneers, so business analysts. So it's a pretty strong team, and I think it will be able to really propel, DAOs and decentralized organizations forward. Really get them over those first hurdles that a lot of us are still struggling with.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot that goes into DAOs, which I think from hearing some people talk about stuff, it's almost like a throwaway idea. Oh yeah, we do it. They focus on their tool. Yeah, we're going to build this. We're going to do this. And then in the future, we're going to DAO. Right. I've heard that. I've heard that sentence quite a lot just this year, which is great. It's great that people want to go in that direction. But sometimes I don't feel that people understand the scope that actually requires. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot. I remember when I was trying to figure it out for staking DAO, at first I thought, oh, it'd be simple. And then the more I thought about it, the more layers and the kind of deeper I had to go. And there's a lot of the tech side of the service that you're providing or the work you're providing as a DAO is only like 15 to 25% of the work. And then the rest is the DAO, and the infrastructure behind that and the systems and the governance and everything else that goes into kind of managing it. There's a huge scope of work there. And I think having something like this is a great way to help provide that education and infrastructure and kind of direction to projects that are trying to go in this direction, which is great. It's great that they're doing so. But you need to be able to, they need somewhere to go to actually speak to experts. And that's kind of what you're putting together here, which is really cool.
Right. Yeah. They need hands-on help. There's a huge lack of examples just because it is so early. A lot of great tools, like I said, coming out or being built. But yeah, it's really hard to get a clear understanding of how the tech, is impacted by human action, right? The DAO, the community. So yeah, it's important and, probably one of the things I'm most excited about.
Do you guys, you have quite a few projects you're already kind of helping with this thing, right? A lot of projects that you've already onboarded. Do you have any kind of examples off the top of your head of the kind of works that you've had to sit down and figure out with people as you're helping them make this transition?
Sure. So I think the first DAO that we started working with was Rats DAO. And they were just, said, hey, we have this intention of having a group of people who can all commonly hold all of these great NFTs, but we don't want to just say we're a DAO in name only. We want to actually have, like governance and a guarantee of ownership that these won't just be rug pulled. And we want people to know that we can be trusted. So even before we had the tech done, we started talking with them about, okay, what are your intentions? What do you want to do? And so they were just constantly in our server talking with us, making sure they had the spirit of the DAO before they had the technology of the DAO. And so we've done a lot of work on our multisig to sort of, customize it for them because we wanted to make sure that we could, serve their interests and take care of them as, because that's a good exercise for us. If we have an actual defined group to work with and try to help, then it gives us, a goal to work with, and they can bring their questions to us and makes us think like, oh yeah, that's the kind of thing that we need to think about in the real world too. So that's just kind of an example, I think, of who's come along the most so far. But then we've also had other groups that are just sort of like exploring the idea of, we are a group of people who are like, teaching new people how to do software development. And we have this idea that in the future we want to be a DAO, but we're not sure where we're going with it yet. So, that's great too. So we've sat down with them and just sort of talked with them about like, these are the kinds of things that you should consider. These are some of the disadvantages of having a DAO. It's a lot more of a flat structure. You're not good. It's going to be harder for you to, have like a defined leadership that can say what needs to be done sometimes, unless you want to like build those roles in from the onset. So just sort of like having those discussions and talking through with people have been what we've done so far. And so we want to sort of formalize it before we start, because we do get these inquiries of people sort of saying like, hey, we want to do something, but it's like, no, how serious are you? Do you just want to, where are you wanting to go with this?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's helped us really, like Adam said, like get in touch with these communities, right? I think a lot of times we are heads down developing and we kind of lose touch with what the general community needs, right? So yeah, having this server in ADAO, having these avenues where these people can come and ask questions, not only helps them, but helps us a lot to be able to structure this in a way that it is going to be beneficial, and that we will be able to streamline projects to get to where they want to be.
Yeah, I think one advantage of doing this and like supporting DAOs as they come and they're created helps you build a better library of tools as well, right? Because like Adam was saying, different projects face different challenges because of the way that their governance or the way that their tokenomics will work will differ because of what they're trying to do. And the more examples or the more projects that you help kind of work with to kind of get their DAO rolled out, or at least mapped out sometimes, it really gives you a better scope of works to bring to the next project and the next project. And I think it'll just help you guys expand so fast.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it comes from that openness, right? And being able to, encouraging contribution, right? Yourself, for example, have contributed quite a bit to ADAO. So it's really the way you design these systems, right? Because we all want to move the space forward. But a lot of times we don't know how, right? We're working in silos a lot of times. People might be working on the same thing, getting stuck on the same problems. So yeah, I think we've been really fortunate to be able to create this space within Cardano now, where we just so much information, so many people working on so many different things. It really is a wealth of knowledge. So yeah, not only getting these projects and these applications out there, but getting the education out there is really what we focus on. And I think, like you said, is what's going to propel the space forward the most, is educating.
Yeah. And it's just such an exciting time to be in blockchain because you just see the energy, you see the people building, they're building tools, they're building social networks, they're building relationships, and everybody just wants to pitch in, right? The people come to each other with ideas and just give them away and just help each other with their ideas because they just want to see it move forward. And that's the beauty of, when you're in a young ecosystem like we are, that everything is just building. It's inevitable that as our industry moves forward, it will become more institutionalized. The institutions are going to be formed and they're going to grow, and they're going to, in some ways, it's going to be very good because institutions bring assurance that it will continue, right? Like Cardano would not be able to exist if we didn't have IOG there coordinating the writing of papers from the academics and then taking that and hiring engineers to turn it into code. And then they also encourage the community to add to it from our end. So at ADAO, we say, okay, we know that there's more institutions coming for the Cardano community. Let's try to make sure it's done in a decentralized way. Let's try to make sure it's done so that this grassroots environment stays and that everybody can continue to contribute and have their voice heard and be able to get involved. Because it would just be a shame if we have the sort of institutional deadlock that so many other industries have because they're all top-down structure when blockchain is supposed to be bottom-up. And so that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think you guys are really setting a precedence for this, and it's going to follow on for a long way afterwards. I think if you have the tools and you have the methods to kind of bring people in and onboard people, it'll make it much easier to implement, much easier to bring people in and just give them the direction, and you can kind of instill the philosophy of it into the projects you work with as well, rather than risking losing some of that along the way, just because you've essentially made a central hub for any projects to come to basically have this kind of free space to collaborate, even beyond the scope of DAOs. I know people who are building stuff and when they have their tools built, they just want to give it to you guys to be able to share with the rest of the community. And I think that really, because we are already even starting to see institutions form, community institutions and kind of other people coming in from the outside, we're really hitting that kind of threshold where stuff could split in either direction. And it's good that you guys are providing the decentralized option and the open source option right off the bat.
Thanks.
Cool. So This proposal you're asking, obviously there's a lot more that goes into this. You're asking for a little bit more money, $69,420. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So the bulk of the money that we're asking for is actually for our legal foundation. Because we want to open up a Stiftung in Liechtenstein, which is, very similar to the kind of legal structure that the Cardano Foundation has in Switzerland, we need to have $30,000 in trust in Liechtenstein in order to be recognized as a nonprofit entity over there. So that is money that we think is very reasonable to ask for the Catalyst Fund to provide, because that's exactly what this fund was made to help provide for. So we're asking for $30,000 to fund the trust. That will just remain in the trust in Liechtenstein with the legal foundation, and then an additional $10,000 to pay for the associated legal costs with having, basically it's the equivalent of like if you were forming an LLC in the United States, or I think in UK you guys have like LTDs, which is kind of the same thing, a limited liability company. There are a lot of services that do that in Liechtenstein, and so we're talking with some of them about who's going to be our provider for that kind of registration. So that's what the bulk of our money is for. And then we're also asking for $20,000 for new project onboarding, just that when we have a group come to us, we can make sure that we have resources so that if they need some customization built, we can help them with that. If we need to offer some bounties to help people, sort of like give them education, give them some onboarding, we have some leeway there. And then an additional $9,420, just because it sounded like a really nice round number. We're asking for our marketing efforts, because obviously we need to have a website and we need to have social media and we need to provide bounties for people to keep the gears running there too.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense why you're asking. It's just more of the numbers, quite a bit of a meme number in crypto, isn't it? So I was just wondering about the last little bit. And to be honest with you, it just kind of adds to the fun of it. You could have easily just asked for 10,000 or 9,000. I think $420 is worth a laugh either way. But yeah, obviously you need kind of a bit of funding to set up some form of legal entity. And you're right. That is exactly what the Catalyst is for, providing a little bit. It's a very small sum, realistically. $30,000 isn't exactly a lot of money. And people might, I don't know, if some people might think that it kind of goes against Catalyst, like projects asking for bits of fund for certain things. But I completely agree. I think this is exactly what Catalyst is for. And if it's helping kind of encourage a more decentralized and inclusive community, then that's the whole point of Catalyst, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how I see a project like this, right? It's a foundation like this is necessary, right? This is not just something that is a tool that's going to be built or an app. This is going to be something that needs to last forever, right? Something that needs to not only provide protection for itself, but to these new DAOs and new organizations that it summons. So yeah, having this foundation in place is really important, and it'll be something that, like I said, offers a lot more than just a one-time, reward, right? It'll be there not only for ADAO, but for any other DAOs that come to us and need help setting a legal wrapper up, figuring out, how they want to structure their DAO. We'll be able to, aggregate all that information and have it for people. And like I said, it's something that is going to be maintained and always be around for, a lot of other groups other than ADAO to use and leverage. So,
And we've been asked, why are we forming in Liechtenstein as opposed to some other jurisdiction? And the reason is because Liechtenstein has a very, very progressive view on blockchain technologies, how those are recognized, as well as a really great view on nonprofit organizations and the rights that they have for privacy and for activity and the ability to operate. And there are a lot of legitimate ways that you can set up a DAO. The way that we are trying to do it is we want our organization to be completely on chain, and the legal wrapper serves the organization. So that's how we have it set up. Now, there might be other people who want to say, like, we want to have an organization that, we want to have a DAO that owns some sort of a community hall, or we want to have a DAO that owns some sort of real property someplace in the United States. And so they might go the route of having a Wyoming DAO LLC, which is basically a physical organization that is set up as a DAO, which is great too. And for that kind of application, that would work out. But for us, we want to have it the reverse.
Yeah, it makes sense. And kind of going through this process as well just adds to your tool set. And, understanding the kind of legal entities and the best way to structure that just enables you to provide a better service, basically, doesn't it? So either way, it's worth exploring all the different ways and kind of figuring out what is best for any given situation.
Yeah.
Perfect, guys. Well, I think we've about covered everything, really. You guys just talk straight, it comes straight out. We don't need to kind of dive any deeper. You're both very concise, and you kind of have full answers all the time, which is lovely. But what else is going on with ADAO? Is there other stuff that you want to talk about? Because I just love the group and I love the project, and anything else that you want to share with what you're doing to help any other people find you.
Oh man, I don't know if we have another hour. There's so much going on with ADAO. So we've been working with Randall, one of our developers, for his Done Collectively software. If you want to go search Idea Scale for Done Collectively, he has some proposals in himself that we're really excited to be working with him for this tool set that will help organize DAO related projects, and hoping to make that part of the ADAO suite. We have what else, Tom? We have so many things.
I guess the best way to find out about what's going on in ADAO, aside from the proposals, is jump in the Discord. You'll see a section labeled working groups. And that's where you can, figure out what you want to do, get involved in these discussions, and start contributing. Pick a topic. We have a working group for it. And, in a working group as large as education, even sub-working groups. So there's just so much going on in the Discord, so much to do, so much information too. If you are exploring, legal wrappers, we have a whole legal section for that, with a lot of great links to a lot of very smart blockchain attorneys. As for the proposals, the best thing to do is just type in ADAO, all caps, in the main search bar. And like Adam said, you'll see the three main proposals that start with ADAO: Education, Summon, and the Multisig app. But we are contributing to quite a few other proposals. Adam mentioned Done Collectively, which is really a DAO management platform, right? Even with all this on-chain tooling, things like native scripts, things like Agora, we still need these interfaces, right? These platforms where people can do things like manage bounties, right? Manage proposal, try to get group signaling. So it's really like a snapshot, a tally, a rabbit hole, and more, all in one. So we're looking to integrate Discord, integrate a bounty aggregator. So all DAOs will be able to use that platform. As well as you'll see we're contributing to Agora, which is led by Liquid, which will be those smart contracts. That is actually really a library, I think is the best way to describe it. It's a suite of smart contracts that will allow you to govern a protocol with tokens, right? And the proposal is pretty in depth. If you go to that proposal, there's a lot of great images and a lot of great explanations on how that will actually work. And yeah, come to the Discord if you have any questions about that or anything else DAO or Cardano related. With members all around the world, there's really not a minute that goes by that's quiet in that server. So it's always really easy to join a discussion and get some questions answered.
Yeah, one thing that I would say, actually, guys, if you're looking for a way to contribute and get involved with stuff on Cardano, then the ADAO Discord is really, really good for that. I remember when I kind of met you guys, I just joined, and I think I joined one of the calls where you were talking about stuff. It was like a meeting, and I just kind of dropped in. Sorry about that. But within that call, we basically started wireframing some templates for some things, and it was just like, right, well, let's get it done, And before I knew it, I was kind of quite heavily involved in some stuff that you were working on, and purely because I put myself in, and I kind of got involved. And you guys have been really welcoming. The community is so friendly. Everyone's there to kind of help and build something much bigger than any individual or even any individual project, really, which is a really great atmosphere to be a part of. And I really love it.
Yeah, me too. No, it's exciting. Yeah, I was looking at those frames the other day because, these organizations, when we do have something like Agora, are going to need their interfaces, like the one you put together, where they can submit and vote on proposals. So yeah, it's really cool to see that, just so many people from Cardano, like yourself, who, yeah, we're all working on different things, but they have so many synergies, and a lot of it, is needed by everyone. So yeah, having a place where people can come together and see what else, see what everyone else is doing, leverage that, contribute their own work. Yeah, it's really exciting. There's never a dull moment in it. And it really does, push the space forward rapidly. So it's an exciting time. And I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just gonna pick up soon. It's gonna be too much for you guys to handle. I think there's gonna be stuff happening all over the place, and it's gonna take a full-time job.
That's the great thing, though, about being part of a DAO is that Tom and I, we don't have to be the ones doing everything. We can always encourage more people to step up. There's always someone who wants to step up and do more. And as more things keep happening, we have more people willing to step up and work on projects. And maybe somebody watching this is going to be the next person to join and step up and lead another project. And so we're just really excited for the future.
Yeah, I hope so. Guys, all the links and stuff will be down below, by the way. So if you want to check out any of these proposals, join the Discord, anything like that, just check out the description. Perfect, guys. Well, is there anything else? Is there anything that I've completely forgotten to mention? Because I do that sometimes. Is there anything else you want to kind of bring up, you want to talk about, or anything before we sign off?
I'm trying to think. I mean, definitely check out the Discord. We try on Twitter. We've been holding spaces every Wednesday and Saturday, and we'll get those up and scheduled beforehand. So definitely check out, it's at ADAO Community on Twitter. And yeah, just, don't hesitate to get involved, ask questions. And yeah, I hope to see a lot of new members soon. Yeah. Every day we seem to get new members. So it's really cool. It's really exciting. And yeah, I really appreciate you inviting me on.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem at all. It's really nice just having you guys on and having a proper chat about this stuff, because everyone's always just so busy. It's nice just to be like, let's sit down for an hour. Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited about ADAO. I love what you guys are doing. If there's anything you ever need from me, you can just reach out at any point. Otherwise, though, I will leave it here, and I will catch up with you very, very soon.
Sounds great.
Cool. Yeah, thanks a lot, Rhys.
That's all right.
Right, guys, that's it for this video. Big thanks to TCT and Adam for turning up and walking us through their proposals. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them in the box below. Usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out and make sure you vote for the ADAO proposals for Catalyst Fund 8. They just missed out on Fund 7, and they deserve the support really from the community, because they're doing some amazing work. If you're interested in participating or contributing to ADAO or any other DAO project, I definitely recommend that you join their Discord community, which I'll link to below, so you can go and check that out. Otherwise, guys, I will catch up with you in the next one. See you then.